On December 13th, 2021, Chantal Fields drove to her daughter's apartment after hours of unanswered calls and texts because something felt wrong. When she got to the door, there was a note which read, "If you're looking for Lauren, call this number." That's how a mother found out her 23-year-old daughter was gone.
Here in our Black community, we pay taxes, and they should be working for us and our family and show that they care for us and they're not going to just throw us out like we're rubbish. Every Black person, every person of color matters.
The man who was with Lauren that night was someone she had met on a dating app 3 days before. This is Crime on Buzz. Before we get started, leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you won't miss out on cases like this. Lauren Quinique Smith Fields was born on January 23, 1998 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. She was the only daughter in her family, and she was close with her mother Chantal, her father Everett, and her brother Lakeem. Lauren graduated from Stanford High School, where she ran track and was studying physical therapy at Norwalk Community College. She had her own business at home and maintained a presence on social media platforms. Lauren was health conscious and worked out regularly. She loved fashion, makeup, and outings. She traveled internationally too, visiting different countries. In December 2021, Lauren was on the dating app Bumble. She connected with a man named Matthew Lefountain, who was 37 years old and lived in Milford, Connecticut. They had only been talking for 3 days when they decided to meet in person. On the evening of December 11, 2021, Matthew came to Lauren's apartment on Plymouth Street in Bridgeport. The next morning, around 6:30 a.m. on December 12th, a 911 call came in from the apartment. Matthew was on the line reporting that Lauren was not breathing. When first responders arrived at the apartment, they found Lauren lying on her back on the bedroom floor, unresponsive. She was pronounced gone. They noted that she appeared to have been gone for at least an hour or more by the time they arrived. The responding officer described Matthew as visibly shaken and in shock. Police took a statement from Matthew about what had happened. According to reports, he stated that they ate food and drank shots of tequila together the night before. At some point, Lauren became ill and went to the bathroom to vomit. When she came back, she apologized. They decided to continue drinking, but this time they mixed the tequila with other drinks. They played games, ate more food, and started watching a movie. Around 11:50 that night, Lauren received a call. She told Matthew that her brother was coming by to pick up some clothes, so she went outside to meet him. Though Matthew said he never saw the brother because he didn't follow her outside. When Lauren came back inside, she went straight to the bathroom and stayed there for about 10 to 15 minutes. After she came out, they continued watching the movie and finished the bottle of drink. According to Matthew's account, Lauren fell asleep on the couch. He said he carried her to the bedroom and laid her in her bed, then laid down next to her, claiming that he fell asleep with his clothes on. He stated that he woke up around 3 in the morning to use the bathroom. When he woke again around 6:30 in the morning, he found Lauren lying on her right side and was not breathing. That's when he called 911 and began performing CPR as the dispatcher instructed. The police collected Lauren's cash, which was over $300, along with her passport, credit card, and cell phone. There were other things there that were not collected. A used condom that was in the bathroom, a bottle of lubricant, a pill, a bedsheet from Lauren's bed, and 2 cups with drinks. The apartment was not taped off as a crime scene, and no extensive questioning took place. Matthew was not given a test. Police did not take his DNA, and the detective's assessment was that Matthew seemed like a nice guy. There was no suspicion of foul play, so Matthew was allowed to leave. Meanwhile, Lauren's family had no idea what had happened. Her mother had been calling and texting with no response. Her brother had plans to see her. Christmas dinner was supposed to be at Lauren's house that year. On December 13th, Chantal and her son drove to the apartment. That's when they found the note on the door from the landlord, who informed them of what had happened. The police had never called or tried reaching out to them.
This police report of the response to a 911 call from Lauren's apartment on the morning of December 12th from a white male identified as Matthew Lefountain. The investigator notes he was trembling and visibly shaken. Lefountain said they met on the dating site Bumble, began drinking shots of tequila, and Lauren became ill. That later they played some games, ate some food, and started to watch a movie. He says he carried her to her bedroom and laid her in her bed. He then laid down next to her and fell asleep. He woke up again at approximately 0630 hours, and she was laying on her right side. Blood was coming out of her right nostril onto the bed, and she was not breathing.
The whole day goes by. No police reach out to the family at all.
Her close-knit family says they went to the apartment the next day after frantically calling and texting Lauren and were referred to a Detective Cronin.
They didn't even contact us. They didn't let us know anything. It's like crazy. And I'm asking what's going on. He said she met some guy on Bumble. And I'm asking him about the guy. He was like, oh, he sounds like a really nice guy. He sounds like a really good guy. And he was like, I'll call you back, and just hung up in my face.
The family was directed to contact Detective Kevin Cronin. When the family called him, his responses were brief and dismissive. Lakeem, Lauren's brother, spoke to the detective and asked about the man who had been with Lauren. The detective told him the guy sounded like a really nice guy, and there was no need to investigate. When the family asked for more information, the detective said he would call back, then hung up. He promised to come by the apartment to speak with them, but he never showed up. From December 13th to December 29th, the family heard nothing from the Bridgeport Police Department. During that time, the family kept calling, desperate for answers. At some point, they were told to stop calling for updates. On December 29th, the family returned to Lauren's apartment to pack up her belongings. A different detective showed up this time. He told the family that the other detective who handled the case had messed up. This was the first time crime scene investigators arrived at the apartment, 17 days after Lauren's passing.
They say the detective promised to come by the apartment.
Never showed up.
The family says the relationship with police devolved from there. No contact from December 13th until December 29th. They returned to the apartment to clear out Lauren's belongings and claim a new detective came by to say he'd taken over the case from Detective Cronin.
The detective said he effed up, he messed up. He F Cronin, he messed up, he didn't know what he was doing, he messed up the case.
As the family was going through Lauren's things, they found the evidence that had been left behind. There was a used condom with semen in it, a bottle of blue lubricant, a pill on the counter, the sheets on the bed, and 2 cups with drinks in them. The family brought these items to the attention of the investigators, who collected them. Now remember that Matthew had told the police that he slept with his clothes on, and that he and Lauren hadn't been intimate with each other. The evidence found suggested otherwise, and it completely contradicted his version of what happened. But the thing is, even after the evidence was collected on December 29th, it was not submitted to the Connecticut State Laboratory for testing immediately. The police also asked the family to provide DNA swabs, as the investigation would not move forward without it. The family complied, but Matthew was not asked to provide a mandatory DNA sample. His attorney stated that Matthew declined to give a voluntary DNA sample at that time. This even raised more suspicion. Lauren's brother Lakeem gave his own account of that night. He said he went to see Lauren around 11:50. She had called him to come pick up some clothes. When he got there, Lauren came outside to meet him and seemed completely normal. Lakeem saw nothing that concerned him. But hours later, she was gone.
The family says they provided evidence they'd collected to crime scene investigators who arrived for the first time that day, included a bloody sheet and a pill.
And 2 cups of drinks or whatever next to a bottle. They didn't take none of that. We seen a condom, we seen lube, other stuff in there, and they didn't take none of this.
Sources close to the investigation tell the I-Team the Matthew Lefountain pictured in this social media photo, now removed, was the man at Lauren's apartment. A neighbor at his listed address in Milford confirmed Lefountain's identity, but we were unable to reach the 37-year-old who has not been accused of any wrongdoing. Lefountain's same image appeared under the name Matthew Thomas, now also taken down.
Anyone that genuinely cared and they were there, the last person there, and they know that nothing bad happened, you would at least even reach out to the family yourself. Like, listen, I know I'm sorry for your loss of your daughter or your sister.
The family's last contact with police was on January 4th at headquarters with their attorney.
What I believe is that the police failed to collect and preserve that environment from the first day.
The attorney has now filed a notice of claim to sue Bridgeport for negligence, claiming key evidence was not initially submitted to the state lab.
I feel like because he's a white guy and she's a black girl, it's just almost like they just thrown it under the rug.
That night she was silenced, so now we are her voice.
Right.
But we're here and we're fighting for her.
The medical examiner's office did not release their findings for over a month. The family waited with no answers, no closure, just silence from the authorities. Then, on January 24, 2022, the Connecticut chief medical examiner announced the cause of her passing.
We begin this hour with the story of a 23-year-old young woman from Bridgeport, Connecticut, who died. She was healthy, but then was found dead. She had met a man on the dating app Bumble. Lawrence Smithfields is her name. They were together that night. He is the one who called 911 when he says he found her unresponsive. The family, not satisfied with the way the investigation was going, has put a lot of pressure on City Hall, on the police, and now some things are happening in the case, including the medical examiner finally, since December 12th, releasing a report claiming, ruling the death accidental, but finding fentanyl and other prescription drugs in her system. So the big question is, how did it get in her system?
Lauren had passed away from acute intoxication due to a combination of substances found in her system, including alcohol and prescription medications. The medical examiner identified antihistamines among the substances, which are medications typically prescribed by doctors to treat allergies and other conditions. The manner of her passing was ruled accidental, and the report was released one day after Lauren's family filed a notice of intent to sue the city of Bridgeport. The family could not accept this ruling. According to them, Lauren never used substances. She was health conscious, worked out every day, and was careful about what she put in her body. The report showed her alcohol level at approximately 0.3, which is relatively low, not the level of someone who was extremely intoxicated. Yet Matthew had claimed Lauren was so drunk that he had to carry her to bed because she couldn't stand on her own. The family's attorney, Darnell Crosland, pointed out that allergy medications make people drowsy and sleepy. No one on a date would willingly take them because they would want to be alert and awake. He stated that this type of combination is typical in situations where someone has been slipped something without their knowledge.
So his lawyer now comes a month later and says something very, very strange. He was on a television show the other day, and they said to him, now that the autopsy's back, what's your response? And he goes, oh, we're not surprised with the findings. And my client's been waiting in the wings, he says, and waiting to cooperate. So Lauren's blood came back full of drugs and different substances. For his lawyer to say they're not surprised leads me to believe either he knew something would be there and he's just not talking about it, or something suspicious is happening with that response. And in terms of, he was requested to give a voluntary DNA, and the lawyer said that he's not going to do that at this time. So I'm not sure what cooperation looks like for them if he won't even give his DNA to clear himself.
Can I jump back in? Also, he said that she was drunk. Her I think the level was just like a 2 or something.
Yeah, under 0.3.
Yeah, under 0.3, but she was so intoxicated that he had to carry her to her bed, that he said in the police report that she says, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, but you carry a drunk girl to the bed and still continue to give her drinks?
And I just add to that, when you look at what was found in her body, the experts are saying that these are typical in date rape situations. She had fentanyl in addition to antihistamines. Antihistamines put you to sleep. They make you drowsy.
Right.
So no one who's going on a date with themselves ingests antihistamines because they want to be up and alert. It's a date. But if you're looking for an opportunity on this date to take advantage, then you may introduce antihistamines into the scenario. And we're upset about the fact that they didn't even swab the alcohol to see if there was fentanyl in there. And so now we're playing catch up with this investigation.
Oh.
The question remained, how did these substances all end up in Lauren's system? The concerning part is, when you look at Lauren's timeline that night, things don't add up. Her brother saw her around 11:50 p.m. She was completely fine, laughing, talking, and acting normal. By 6:30 the next morning, she was gone. What happened in those hours? Another issue is that Matthew's alcohol level was never tested. He was drinking alongside Lauren that entire night according to his own statement. Yet police never asked for a test from him, they only tested Lauren. Multiple sources began contacting the family's attorney with claims that Matthew had some kind of personal connection to the Bridgeport Police Department. The attorney, Darnell Crosland, started seeking Detective Cronin's phone records to see if there were any call connections between the detective and Matthew. The theory was simple. Why else would the police be so protective? Why else would there be no investigation? Why else would Matthew be sent home without any real questioning? The attorney laid out every single failure. There was no proper crime scene protocol. The apartment wasn't secured, and evidence wasn't collected for 17 days. When evidence was finally collected, it still wasn't submitted to the state lab for testing. Matthew wasn't treated as a person of interest, wasn't required to give DNA, and wasn't tested. The family, on the other hand, was treated with contempt. They were told to stop calling, and were left in the dark about their own daughter's passing. Matthew had legal representation. His attorney Peter Carrionis, who defended his client, said Matthew had been waiting patiently behind the scenes and maintained his innocence throughout. He emphasized there was zero connection between his client and any detective. But when asked if Matthew would provide a DNA sample, the attorney had no comment about whether his client would voluntarily submit DNA at that time. What makes this worse is that Lauren wasn't the only one. On the exact same day Lauren passed, another woman was found just 2 miles away in Bridgeport. Her name was Brenda Lee Rawls. She was found unresponsive at a residence. The man she had been with called the police and said he woke up to find her not breathing. Just like Lauren's case, Brenda's family was never notified by police, and there was barely any investigation.
Meanwhile, a call for change at the Bridgeport Police Department from two families that still have questions over the deaths of their loved ones. Tonight, the city's police commission hearing from those families who insist the investigators overlooked the cases and treated them with disregard. News 12 Connecticut, Suzanne Goldklang joining us right now outside of police headquarters with more. Suzanne?
Good evening, Roxanne. You know, both of these families say that the Bridgeport Police Department simply did not show them compassion or concern, and they believe that that cavalier attitude carried over into the investigation of the death of their loved ones. Now they want a new acting police chief and for the United States Department of Justice to step in.
I'm sure she's watching down and she is proud of everyone, but I'm sure she's also angry.
Another step on the long road of loss for the family of Lauren Smith Fields.
They did not care about my daughter. They did not care to even knock on my door.
Unleashing frustrations to an online meeting of the Bridgeport Police Commission, they believe the department bungled the investigation into her death and treated them with disdain.
What are y'all gonna do to change the situation? How are you gonna move forward handling how you handle Black women, Black people, people of color?
While Lauren's demise in the company of a man she met on a dating app has drawn wide attention, another case raises similar concerns.
My name is Dorothy Washington, and I'm the sister of Brenda Lee Rawls. I would have never thought in my wildest dreams that I'll be sitting here speaking about this subject.
Both families want to see acting police chief Rebecca Garcia replaced.
Why did the police department treat us like trash?
And the U.S. Department of Justice take over the investigations.
Both men are the only witnesses who claim they both died in their sleep. Both men are the ones who reported it and dialed 911. The police notified neither family.
The women's city council members tell News 12 the changes are necessary and too many questions remain.
I'm shocked and surprised because there was no news on it or anything.
Now, acting Chief Garcia did make a report to the meeting, but she did not comment on either of these cases. By the way, Lauren Smith Fields' death was ruled an overdose, but her family still believes that foul play could have been involved. In Bridgeport, Suzanne Goldklang, News 12 Connecticut.
And here's the thing that really stood out. The same two detectives who mishandled Lauren's case also reportedly mishandled Brenda's case. Two women, same day, same city, same failed investigations, and same detectives. Lauren's family knew they had to do something, so they went public with her story.
Authorities in Bridgeport, Connecticut say Lauren Smithfields died from acute intoxication. A man that she met on a dating app says he spent the night in her apartment and woke up to find her unresponsive. National correspondent Axel Tercio spoke with the family and their attorney about what their next step will be.
They're very disappointed and very heartbroken to learn that their lovely 23-year-old daughter, sister, was subjected to so much lethal drugs.
That's a reaction from the family of Lauren Smithfields after her death was ruled an accident. The Connecticut Chief Medical Examiner's Office confirmed to Newsy that Smithfield's cause of death was acute intoxication due to the combined effects of fentanyl, promethazine, hydroxyzine, and alcohol.
She never used drugs. She was the person who worked out every day in the gym.
Police responded to the 23-year-old's home in the early morning of December 12th. That's when a man told them he woke up to Smithfield not breathing and bleeding from her nose. He says he went to her apartment the night before. They drank tequila, played some games, and then went to sleep.
We've been arguing from the first day this case started that if the police would have did the proper things, they could have found on this gentleman whether in fact he had any trace evidence of fentanyl on his clothing, on his hand. They could have did a DNA swab to see if it purports with the condom that was found in the bathroom in the garbage when he said he never had sex and he never took his clothes off.
This weekend, Smithfield's family and hundreds of others marched through Bridgeport on what would have been her 24th birthday.
What would you and your family want different in your daughter's death investigation?
Moving forward, I want them to give us answers and don't discard us like we're rubbish. And moving forward, I want Detective Cronin to be fired. I mean, this whole police force from the top to the bottom needs to be revamped.
The family insists Smithfield's death investigation has not been properly handled because the man involved is white. They also say an investigator told them to stop calling, inquiring about the case.
How do you tell a family, stop calling, don't call me anymore, and make us wait for almost an hour, almost 2 hours, and never show up? Yeah, I want his badge.
However, police informed there's no evidence pointing the man as a person of interest. The attorney says if the man gave Smithfields the drugs, he is supposed to face legal consequences.
So the mere fact that this gentleman may have brought these drugs to the house and given it to Lauren, he's guilty of selling drugs under the 21A statute, and that's a 15-year felony. And so the fact that she died then becomes a sale and a manslaughter connected directly.
The family says it will sue the city of Bridgeport and the police department. Axel Tercius, Newsy.
The dating app Bumble that was used has also confirmed that they are in touch with law enforcement. Dave?
As the pressure mounted, the city could no longer ignore what was happening. On January 23, 2022, what would have been Lauren's 24th birthday, thousands of people gathered in Bridgeport and marched through the streets demanding justice. The public outcry was impossible to ignore anymore. Finally, the city of Bridgeport responded. Mayor Joe Ganim made an announcement. The mayor called the police department's handling of both cases unacceptable and announced that detectives Kevin Cronin and Angel Llanos were suspended pending an internal affairs investigation. He stated that families deserve to be notified with dignity and respect, and failure to follow proper policies was unacceptable. But the thing is, these suspensions only happened after the case went viral. After the protests, after the national attention, after the family had already been fighting for weeks, the Bridgeport Police Department opened a criminal investigation into Lauren's passing. The focus was on determining the factors that led to her untimely passing. But even with this investigation opened, no charges were filed and no arrests were made. Meanwhile, the family moved forward with their legal action. Attorney Darnell Crosland filed a notice of intent to sue the city of Bridgeport on behalf of Lauren's family. The family wasn't just seeking money, but wanted accountability. They wanted to make sure this never happened to another family. The state of Connecticut took one positive step forward. Legislators introduced a bill in Lauren's name. The law required that every police department in Connecticut must, within 24 hours, either communicate with family members about a loved one's passing or make a clear and present attempt to do so. It was a basic courtesy that should have always existed, but it took Lauren's passing to make it a legal requirement. As of now, no charges have been filed in Lauren's case. Matthew Lefountain has not been charged or arrested. Lauren's family is still waiting and fighting for justice. These cases spark conversation for a reason. Be the person to offer help if someone needs it. Trust your instincts and don't ignore warning signs. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one on Crime on Buzz. Thanks for watching.